Once we start getting confused and we start losing confidence in ourselves, as should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? It becomes a mess. It's amazing how much happier salespeople are when it's dead clear to them what they should be doing. We tap into this intrinsic motivation and people bouncing out and going, yeah, look, come on, let's get this stuff done. You're listening to the Sales Today podcast, and I'm your host, Fred Copestake. On this podcast, we explore how sales professionals can develop a modern approach to winning business, the application of virtual selling techniques, how to create meaningful business relationships, and much more. Why not take our free collaborative selling scorecard to see how your sales approach suits today's environment? You'll find a link in the show notes. I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit here and predict some of the mistakes that you either are making or you are seeing. If you're a sales leader, you might be seeing this stuff. Look, I know it's a bit blunt, it's a bit direct, but this stuff is based on experience. It's stuff that I've been seeing over the years. And if I put my hands up, it's stuff that I've done. I probably still do to a degree. Mistakes that we see. I'm going to go with 5 biggies. First mistake is that salespeople can waste a lot of time and effort. They can run around doing loads of things which aren't actually really having the effect that they want. So they end up being quite wasteful. Another mistake I see is that people don't know the customers well enough. They're going in and actually they're not really able to add value because they don't know enough about the person that they're speaking to and what they really care about. Another thing we see is that people talk about themselves too much. They talk about their own products, their own services, what they want on their agenda rather than what customers care about. A fourth mistake will be using out-of-date tactics. So things which just don't work anymore. People have thought it's a good idea, but it's not. We see that sometimes still. And then the other one, the fifth one that I'll call out is its poor use of process. People haven't got systems. They haven't got ways in which they can do the right stuff time and time again. Don't know how much those resonate. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You'll hear me talk about collaborative selling. I'll kind of use that as a way, a catch-all to think about where we are now. But ultimately, if you want to boil down what I'm all about, it's about having good people doing good things in a good way. They can read into that various stuff, but it's like we want salespeople to be good at what they do. The things that they're doing, the effect that they have, the impacts need to be good. And so the way we go about it needs to be good as well. It needs to be modern, current. So let's have a look at what's stopping people get results. This is what I've seen working with a bunch of companies, and there's quite a lot of commonality to it. I'll be direct on this. It's to do with being ineffective, old-fashioned, and confused. If salespeople are that, it's unlikely that they'll be achieving results. And unfortunately, we are seeing quite a lot of salespeople who are in those states. I'll break them down. And what I do is I kind of give these like a little label that helps us remember them. And the first one is busy, busy, busy. Okay, this is all the stuff about being ineffective. And so obviously salespeople being wasteful, tired, and unfocused. When people are being wasteful, basically what's happening is we're chucking away our most precious resource, which is time. We're throwing it away. And we know loads of people will do stuff that's trivial. Why? Because it's easy, it's fun. We all do it. Guilty as charged. But for me, it's when people are not doing thoughtful activity. They're not spending time thinking. People will lose the best opportunities. And this is where we start to get wasteful. Because they're not using time well, they end up losing the chance to make an impact with customers. What happens then? Well, that means they chase success by putting more effort into stuff. They're throwing good effort after bad, but they're doing the same thing. And the same thing doesn't work. So we get into this vicious circle. And this is really tiring. It ends up pretty stressful. And that is not a good place to be. We want to not have salespeople who are getting stressed. This is all this unfocused activity, running around in circles, spinning plates. People like to feel busy, I think. I've seen this in salespeople where, they're doing, lots and lots of stuff. I'm driving hundreds of miles. I'm seeing loads of people. My diary's looking like this. But it's not making a difference because it's not focused on the things that are what would have an impact. So these are a couple of things that we see. And these can be kind of compounded by what I call oldie worldy. Now, oldie worldy, this is about being old-fashioned. Breaks down into being self-centered, too technical, and using poor practice. Again, let's have a look at these. Self-centered is when the salesperson isn't customer focused. It's all about them. It's like me, we, I, our product, our service. They talk about themselves way too much. I don't know, maybe you've sat in presentations where you're just looking at people going, well, this is all wonderful for you. I'm so happy for you, but you're not saying anything about me. And it doesn't work. And people get bored with it quicker than ever. I see people get too technical sometimes, and particularly engineers. And there's no slight on engineers, but they can get right down in the weeds with a whole bunch of how stuff actually works and get very, very kind of into the nitty gritty. And sometimes that's not needed. Sometimes it is. Absolutely, it's the right thing to do. But sometimes their fascination with the technicalities isn't what's required by the customer, and they get bored. Both of those first things, I think the passion, do the excitement, that's good. We just need to channel it in the right direction. The one that I find really hard is people using poor practice, bad techniques, bygone era of selling. Yeah, someone thought these sort of ways of working were a good idea once, but they're not. I'm talking about the manipulative, pushy stuff. It doesn't work. Anything that will push people away. I heard someone the other day, and it already got my goat. They said that, oh, well, bullshit baffles brains. Like, this was a clever thing to do, which is try to confuse a customer. Customers are confused enough as it is. They don't need any more confusion, and doing that deliberately to them ain't clever. So we need to kind of quit that stuff. Third element then I talked about is this kind of muddled mindset. So muddled mindset, this is kind of where we get a bit of misalignment. It sort of happens at an organization and management and individual level. And it looks a bit like this, where organization says, well, we're consultative, we're customer focused, we're buyer centric. This is how we operate. And I was like, yeah, good, great, we'll work that. But then at the end of the month, it gets really transactional, because it's like, get out, sell this, discount, need these numbers now. And it's a weird one. It's a very weird one for people to deal with. The people have to deal with it, the managers. And they're then now kind of, well, am I kind of motivating people here? Am I kind of carrot, or am I stick? Am I like with a spreadsheet and like look at numbers here? Or am I trying to get them better at what they do? I really feel for people in this position. They're caught between a rock and a hard place. Because the impact on the salesperson, the individual, is just, they are way confused. So they get so frustrated. And again, they end up wasting effort because they're trying to work out what it is they're supposed to do. I've taught some people and I've been coaching them, and they're just lost. It's a horrible place for a salesperson to be. And we really don't want this stuff. And so these are things that you might well recognize some of the stuff going on that stops us getting those results. So what can we do about it? What can we do about it? What can we start to get the results by doing stuff which, the good news is it's very solvable. We need to recognize it. That's why I've gone through those things to start with. But then if we say, oh yeah, it hurts, but that's true, when we can do something about it, it's often the little shifts. I love this concept of aggregated marginal gains. The stuff where we keep adding lots of little things and it actually goes into making quite a big difference. Seen it in effect, and it makes people so much happier. So what we're trying to do essentially is the opposite of the stuff I said before, which is to be more effective, more modern, and more aligned. We counter those problems. Let's counter them head on. So the busy, it's all about being more effective. More about being more effective. So prepare, plan, and use process. I'll go through these in a little bit more detail. So preparation. This is making the most of the opportunities. And one of the things that I really encourage salespeople to do is to take time to stop and think. Thinking time. This is crucial. I see in some organizations where people need to be moving, doing stuff all the time, but really we should be stopping and thinking, investing time to understand about the customer, what it is they're trying to achieve, and then how we can use that to work with them. Taking time to think about, well, who are the right people to work with, where we can do that. Choose the right prospects. Understand stuff that's important to them. Preparation time is so valuable. And so this can feed into planning the work balance. This is what's going to stress people when they're trying to do too much in too little time. But think about, not everything is a priority. Decide which things are going to make a difference. That's part of the preparation. And then work out what it is you're going to do. Plans are nothing, plans are everything. In other words, that as soon as we have a plan, it's likely to have to change. Yes, we know that. But if you spent the time preparing and then thinking about what it is you're going to do, it's way easier to adapt. So for me, planning, we should be applying this from accounts all the way through the activity we're doing into calls and meetings. Self-management is key. That's a biggie for a lot of salespeople. Just using their time well by making intelligent decisions about how they're going to invest it. It's all part of the planning process. And talking of process is the other big thing we can do here. Focusing on things to drive the right activity, tried and tested methods, structuring a way of working that's right for you, the organization, the customer. It's weird. Some salespeople seem to see this as a weakness. They want to be intuitive. They do it their way. They'll respond, wing it. You end up wasting way more time. But having systems, procedures, templates, things we know that work, then we can do time and time again, is a smart way of operating. The more we've got where we know we're doing something that makes a difference, the more relaxed we can be that we're doing the right thing. And we can feed this into making sure the things we're doing are modern. They're up to date. Yeah, bin the oldie worldie by getting more modern. And the trick to this is to flip, follow, and focus. So by flip, what I mean is flipping your attention onto the world of the customer. Now, rather than talking about yourself, all these wonderful things that you can do, you talk about the customers first. I mean, in some ways, it's such an easy thing to do, but some people find it so hard. And so their presentations are upside down. People don't care about where your office is, don't care how many years you've been in business, don't care about all those logos, all that stuff that we see at the front end of a presentation. Folk don't care. Their favorite subjects themselves. So if we can flip that, start talking about them, that will start to make a huge difference. Really big difference. And for me, it's kind of almost one of the easiest things to do, but it also seems to be one of the hardest things to do. People are fascinated in showing their logo slides. Oh, look at these. Look at these. Haven't we done well? Talk about me. Talk about me as the customer. And so following an approach that drives this sort of behavior makes sense. So think about how we're doing stuff to identify issues rather than trying to force a solution, rather than trying to push ourselves onto people. Yeah. How do we manage a conversation to make it about the customer? Follow that process, that structure. That's what I'll do in all my conversations. I'll make an offer later on and I'll show you exactly how that conversation is, bearing in mind we want to follow making it about you. Yeah, why wouldn't I? It's for stuff I trade, so I'll be transparent with it. Yeah. Customers aren't stupid, you know. They can tell if you're kind of like not listening but just waiting to talk. So have a way of operating that can make a difference. And then focus in on the things that actually work, that make a difference. Don't bother with the old school tricks, the closers, all that sort of stuff. It's nonsense. What works now is different. There have been shifts in the way we sell, quite a lot of shifts, and they're coming faster, the things which we need to be doing to be successful today. But we can make those shifts. I know we can. I've done them. I've worked with loads of people where we've just moved them into doing the stuff that's relevant and right for them, their industry, their customers. That's what we need to do. And so the alignment piece, I mean, this is more, this stuff's more for the sales leaders. It's like, you know, if you are and you want to chat about this later, use the offer, I'll give it a bit. But this is about having clarity to allow coaching and to give confirmation. Yeah, clarity. So this is how we sell. This is how we do it. This is our way. And we're going to stick by that. We're going to stand to it. Now, of course, yeah, sometimes we need to course correct a little bit, yeah, to adapt to changes in the market and stuff, but really being consistent and not trying to change things and force sales at the end of the month, end of the quarter. That's the stuff that's doing salespeople in. Then managers can focus on how they coach. Yeah, they can support the salespeople. They can help them to get better. As a salesperson, hopefully you are being coached. Now, either you're a network, your buddies, or manager, or just somehow get some support to help you think about doing stuff right. It makes a big difference. Because we want to know as salespeople, we're doing the right thing. Once we start getting confused and we start losing confidence in ourselves, as should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? It becomes a mess. It's amazing how much happier salespeople are when it's dead clear to them what they should be doing. You know, we can tap into this intrinsic motivation and been bouncing out and going, yeah, look, come on, let's get this stuff done. The mistake that managers make is that kind of everyone knows the way. If it's never been communicated, how should they? So make sure we've got the model that works. So these are a couple of the things that, the things that are stopping us, the things that we can start doing, Thank you for listening to the Sales Today podcast with me, your host, Fred Copestake. I hope you've enjoyed what you heard today. If you did, please get in touch and hit subscribe. And remember, you can take the collaborative selling scorecard for free to check out how your sales approach works in today's environment. You'll find it in the show notes.